In the 1970s, 12% of families were well below the poverty line. My family was in that 12%. I developed some pretty strong food insecurities that still follow me to this day, and they affect my long-term pantry. Join me as we go through my pantry, address some of the issues with my food insecurities, and see if I can regain control over my long-term food storage. Just how poor were we? My mother would go to neighboring farms and ranches with a wheelbarrow and collect extra veggies, full wheelbarrows of zucchinis this big, and she would make everything she could with these zucchinis. Zucchini fritters and breads and pancakes and soups and stews, anything she could do to stretch out those wheelbarrows of zucchini to feed her family. There were times that my father would be driving and somebody would have hit a deer, and I don't know how long it had been sitting on the side of the road, but my father would hop out of his truck and he would field dress that deer and bring that roadkill home for us to eat so we would have meat. When my husband and I were first married, we were babies. We were babies raising babies, and there were times when we really struggled to put food on the table. One time my husband worked for somebody for 6 weeks. We were down to just a bowl of mayonnaise in the refrigerator, and our toddlers would go to the refrigerator and pull open the door and scoop out mayonnaise on their little fingers and suck the mayonnaise off their little fingers. We were starving. My husband went to his employer and said, "I need money. My children are starving." And that employer said, "I got bills of my own to pay." And so we were left without a paycheck. I went to social services to see if I could get some emergency food stamps or referral to the food pantry, with no help whatsoever. Thankfully, a church came to our rescue and brought us a basket of food. But ever since we recovered from that, I've had this food insecurity that has hung over my head like a dark cloud for all of these years. Raising 4 boys, I got into the habit of, once I had the money to buy food, I bought surplus. I would always buy 4 items of this and 4 items of that. And long after our boys grew into adulthood and went and left and started their own families, I was still buying 4 of this and 4 of that, and really just letting things get out of control. Now it's just my husband and I, Papa Jim, here on the farm, just the 2 of us. And I've managed to get myself to where I only buy 2 of something during my regular shopping. If I go to buy a pound of butter, I always grab 2. If I get a salad mix, I always get 2. If I buy a syrup, I always buy 2. It's not 4 anymore. It's down to that 2, but it's still an issue for me. Now, once a pay period, I do look for certain sales, and I will find an item that is a very good price, and I will allot myself $10 to buy however much I can of that one item to stock into my pantry to get me through several months. So recently a store had brand name ketchup for $1 a bottle. I took that $10, bought 10 bottles of ketchup, and I put them in my pantry. But one of the negatives of having a food insecurity issue is things tend to get away from you. You start stockpiling food. It's not moving off the shelves as quickly as you're putting it on, and that's where I find myself today. So Cayce over at Ormsby Farm has challenged me to join it with a collaboration with 3 Rivers Homestead, and we're going to kind of do a pantry tour, eating out of our pantry for the months of January and February, and I'm going to take that a step beyond, talk about this food insecurity, how it has created havoc in my life, see if I can organize my pantry and kind of reclaim that part of my life. So let's head on in to the pantry and I'll show you what I'm dealing with. Here is my pantry. I have 3 of these rolling restaurant shelving systems in my pantry. They're full of food. I have jarred food, canned food. I have food that are in little containers there at the very end. I have food all over the place. And if it were just these 3 shelves, I think it would be a manageable undertaking. However, behind these 3 shelves, I have 3 more shelves. Let's see if I can get this open here. I have 3 gorilla racks, and the gorilla racks are filled with dried foods that have been vacuum sealed, foods that I have canned, and then down at the very, very bottom, I have 5-gallon buckets full of food. So I have 3 gorilla racks. I have 3 of these rolling shelving units. Back here, I have 5-gallon buckets that are filled with food. I have 5-gallon buckets underneath the gorilla racks and more containers of food here. I have an upright freezer that is packed full of food. In this corner over here, I used to have a printer, so I have a lot of my office supplies. I'm going to be cleaning that out, and I think I'm going to repurpose that area for a small appliance garage, so to speak. And that's because in this closet here, I have not only Papa Jim's barbecue supplies, but I have a lot of little appliances that I can't reach sometimes, and I need to make them more accessible. I also have all of my canning supplies and tons of egg cartons for my chickens. On the very top of my gorilla rack, I have a supply of toilet paper. I have another box of toilet paper here that I'm adding to my bathroom as the days go by. And then I have this closet here that has all of my canned goods that I pick up from the store. My homemade extracts like vanilla and almond extracts are there as well. And I also have a supply of Augustin Farms long-term stored food. I have number 10 cans back here. I have room for more. So once I go through my inventory, I'll determine what I want to add to that to fill in that space. I have another rolling cart here. It's kind of a catch-all. If I bring something into the pantry, I kind of plop it onto there. I've got a lot of my smaller appliances. I think I'll move them over to the section that I showed you that I want to redo. But my pantry is overflowing and it needs to be organized. It needs to be a working machine where I know what I have available to get myself through the hard times ahead. So that's my pantry. I'm going to invite you along on several videos in this series. So I'm going to go through, figure out what we have, what we don't need. I'm going to do an inventory so I know what I have on hand. And I'm also going to take note of everything that I've purchased that we do really enjoy so I can contact those companies, let them know how much I enjoy their product in hopes that they'll send me some coupons. That's it for now. The next video, we're going to pick one section and I'm going to go through it with you and one by one until we get this pantry under control. Until then, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and have a blessed day. Bye-bye.